talking movies and stuff. And so we thought this year, we were talking randomly. Every October, we tend to go into a different horror topic. And we were just kind of discussing, wow, did you realize so-and-so was in this horror movie from like 82? And it kind of got us thinking about the fact that so many actors and actresses tend to get their start in horror movies, which it makes sense because everybody that you kind of hear interview-wise is they shove you there, you get cast there. It's very easy because they don't really think horror movies take a lot of talent. And so that's why we see so many people. So we're going to kind of run down some, we'll talk about some, and if you guys have any that we leave off, just let us.
We have some trivia, because one of the things we do in our podcast is a lot of fun facts. Like, we'll run through the movie, then we'll do fun facts and give our opinions and whatnot. And so we have trivia, we have fun facts, jump in whenever you want. I have all sorts of fun, horror, cute little stickers that my daughter's going to pass around to people if you get a question right, or if you just want one at the end. We also have podcast stickers on here if you want to. So we're going to kick off with the most, I think, OG movie for horror, and I'm sure you can all guess who got her famous start as a scream queen in this classic, Halloween.
1970s Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis, who, she looks, even though she's supposed to be about 18 in that movie,
she dresses.
I swear to God, she's 35-year-old, or, bedtime's at 4 p.m., so I'm not sure why she's out after dark anyways. But, fun fact about this movie, it was originally titled The Babysitter Murders, which, I guess they went with kind of a better theme there, if you ask me. And not to mention, this actually doesn't feature any blood at all for a slasher, and a lot of people, it kind of ignited the slasher genre, John Carpenter in 1978. But Lauren, where was this filmed? Because it wasn't filmed in Indiana, that's for sure.
No, it's filmed in Hollywood. So they actually had to paint a bunch of leaves to make them look real, and to make it look like Illinois, and then they had to pick up all the leaves so they could use them in the next scene. If you pay attention, you can also see palm trees, which there are not palm trees in Illinois. Does anybody know what the infamous mask is? Like who the actor is? Okay, you guys can all shout it out.
William Shatner.
Yes. Although they only used William Shatner, I think, in the first one, and then as you can see, have you guys followed along with Halloween and seen some of the other films and the wonderful masks that they decided to choose? What's up, man? Yep. Yeah, it was the cheapest thing because they had a really low budget, so the William Shatner mask, there you go, which I've heard horror stories of people meeting William Shatner, so I guess it's kind of on brand there. Yeah, it's kind of whatever, but also...
Well, he wasn't pleased with that. He did try to sue for past royalties, and they settled out of court, and Shatner donated the money to a charity.
I guess it was some good, it is okay, but that's kind of the original one. Everybody, when you think of actors and actresses, Jamie Lee Curtis right at the bat is that OG. She came back. We only really recognized the first Halloween that she came back in. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really know about Michael going on like a love joyride on a motorcycle with the new killer that they were trying to push in. So that's another horror movie in their own right. But what is another person we got? This one is actually fun.
Oh, Kevin Bacon. But this is actually not his first movie. Does anybody know what his first movie was in 1978? Yes, it was Animal House. I love the Barbie costume, that's amazing. But 2 years later, he was very brutally murdered in Friday the 13th in 1980. Does anybody know that Camp Crystal Lake is actually a real camp that's still around today? It is called Camp Nobi Bosco. And there's 409 Google reviews, and it's rated 4.7 out of 5 stars if anybody is looking to go. And you can actually do a Friday the 13th tour, which I thought was pretty cool.
I'm just wondering, who leaves a review for this? Are they like people who take the tour?
I read some of them because I read some of the reviews.
The counselors actually paid attention to you. They let me drown in the lake.
Yeah, well, you know what? Okay, I kind of blame the mom. Who sends their kid to summer camp with a lake called Camp Crystal Lake and doesn't teach them to swim beforehand?
Not to mention, okay, we were talking earlier about horror movies where you think you would survive in. I'm sorry, but the very first Friday the 13th movie, did you guys all realize like who was the original killer? It wasn't Jason. It was the mom. It's some 86-year-old grandma running around killing people.
Hey,
Grandma was out, and I'm just saying, horror movies we would survive. I left that one off, but realistically.
You don't mess with a mom, though. I'll give her that superpower. But she should have taught her kids.
She was going around like carrying this axe. The way she was brutally killing those people, I swear she started brutally putting in those cigarettes back in the 80s or 70s. I don't really know, because she has some sort of strength going on. I know. Regardless, though, you're right. Who just goes ahead and lets their kid go there? But one of my favorite kills actually comes out of the franchise in a horror movie of all time, and it's the 2009 Friday the 13th remake that they did. Is there any Supernatural fans out here? Yes. We're actually doing a panel Sunday as well on Supernatural at 3:30. But Jared Padalecki starred in that one, and that's the one where a girl, she gets beaten against the tree in a sleeping bag, and it was the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. He just picks her up and starts whacking against the tree. What? Like, that's one way to do things, I guess, but imagine, hey, I'm in this movie and I was the person that got beaten against the tree in the sleeping bag. I promise I'm in there in some regard.
Well, she was doing stuff she shouldn't have done beforehand.
It's true.
You don't do things you're not supposed to do.
Kids, don't go to the woods. Like, go to a mall. I don't know.
But the funny thing about Friday the 13th is,
Yeah. I mean, when I was a teenager, I went to the mall. I didn't just go to the woods, I guess, but I don't know. I didn't have parents that loved me anyway, so they didn't care what I was doing. But anyways, we do have trivia on this one. Aside from that, what film did
for
Jason...
Friday the 13th.
For Friday the 13th, did Jason first wear the hockey mask? What you got?
You're doing a terrible job of passing out stickers.
And he's running around kind of, I don't know how he sees out of that either, but that's the whole other thing. Absolute unit.
I don't know how Deadpool sees out of Deadpool.
Yeah, sir. Any mask. Really.
Yeah.
But the third one is where he makes a kill and finally gets the mask. What's up?
Wasn't there also an attempt to tie in Friday the 13th movies with the Friday the 13th series at one point, which had nothing to do with the movies?
Yeah, so in the 80s they did that, and then also with Halloween they tried, because after Halloween 1 they were trying to make it its own anthology series, which is why I think second one or Season of the Witch they kind of get weird and have nothing to do with Michael Myers, and then they loop back in by the time we get to another
Season of
phase.
the Witch is supposed to be like a mass.
Yes.
Yeah, like through the TVs, and then it's supposed to be how Michael got started. It's
Turns
like
into,
a
like,
form of an
Supernatural,
origin
yeah.
story, and then it has one of the Real Housewives in it.
Housewives.
Yeah.
But you're right, yeah, because originally the whole idea was anthology series, and they had good ideas, I guess, in the 80s. But
There were some good ideas floating around in the 80s.
it sucks because Friday the 13th is a good franchise, but it's been stuck in like developmental hell. They don't want to sell the rights. I think LeBron James at one point was trying to buy the rights so that he could make a movie, or I don't know. So maybe eventually we'll get something like that again, because I love horror movies like that, just terrible horror movies. Which kind of lead me to our next one, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984, which stars this person, actually, Johnny Depp. Yes, and again, really cool. At least he gets killed really cool in this movie by getting sucked into the bed, and it's basically a giant blender up against the ceiling. I have no idea how he had that much blood in his system, but he just pulled in there, and there he goes. And Nancy's watching across the street.
We're gonna get a body bag, we need a mop.
Just gonna push it around on the carpet in there because it's got terrible shag carpet because it's the 80s. But yeah, he was very brutally killed. He actually originally got the role because of Wes Craven's daughter. She found him to be dreaming, which 80s Johnny Depp.
It paid off.
It did. He launched his career from there in Captain Jack Sparrow, and then he got everything handed to him. He had band. 21 Jump Street was what he was originally in, doing TV shows from that point. And so this is his jumping off point for films.
Worked out well for him.
Worked out well pretty good for him, yeah.
But Wes Craven first came up with this basic idea for the movie from a series of articles in the LA Times over a 3-year period about a group of Southeast Asian refugees who several of actually died during horrific nightmares. So that sounds absolutely traumatizing. Of course, these nightmares were just out of control and ridiculous. So if you were wondering why there's a lamb at the beginning of the movie, which I was wondering as soon as it showed up, like why is this random lamb here? It's a nod to the phrase like a lamb to the slaughter, which originates from the Bible, and it means that innocent and helpless creatures are unknowingly going to their deaths, much like the teenagers in this film. Wes Craven, though, threw a couple Nightmare on Elm Street Easter eggs in there. I'm sure some of you probably know some of them. So when he did Scream, he threw Nightmare on Elm Street Easter eggs into there. Anybody know any of the Easter eggs from the Scream movies? Yes, the janitor. So he played, that's actually Wes Craven is the janitor, and then the Fonz actually calls him Fred, which I think is funny. Fonz was the principal in that. There was an actor who played a cop in both movies. You got one? No, that's okay.
You're good.
And where does Sydney live? Anybody know which street Sydney lives on?
Elm Street?
Elm
Yes,
Street.
and Billy also crawls through Sydney's window, much like Johnny Depp was crawling through the windows. Again, I'm not crawling up anyways because you're just asking to fall over and die. But those movies, Freddie originally also was not. They had his what he was originally different than what they were supposed to be. So if you're unsure, what he does is, he goes after kids. And the original, they felt that was too dark, so they kind of changed it up.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't really they alluded to it, whereas in the remake that they kind of did with,
back to it.
Yeah, they ended up going back to it. It was Brittany Snow or somebody actually pretty famous was in that one as well. I can't remember if it was her exactly, but they went back to it, and there was some controversy around that initially when that first premiered as well, just for the whole reason behind it. But
Do you have a supernatural bit?
we do. Another supernatural fun fact for those who like supernatural. Robert Englund was also in a supernatural episode where he had Dean and went to Dean's dreams and
He put Dean to sleep, temporarily killed him, so he could talk to death. But I thought that was cute that he was the doctor that was making him go to sleep.
Yes. This is a good one too.
Oh yeah, this one's a fun one. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, also known as Elaine, or known as Allegra de Fontaine.
Yes, she's
Valerie
now
Allegra
in
de
Thunderbolts.
Fontaine.
She's in all the MCU now, but originally Seinfeld.
So she starred in a great movie in 1986. Does anybody know what this horror movie was? I don't know if you could call it even horror. It almost seems more comical. Troll.
Kind of reminds me of Ernest, against the troll, because it was that kind of level, but Ernest was actually scared.
Yes.
Ernest scared stupid a little bit. That's kind of the vibes I get, because the troll is so bad.
Oh,
I
it's
guess.
so creepy looking and just like goofy.
Yeah.
And then she's a nymph in it. And she said later that she was like embarrassed by the role because Jay Leno played it. But if anybody hasn't seen this movie, I don't recommend watching it, but I do recommend watching the 3-minute long trailer on IMDb. I think you get a
You need
good
anyways from it, yeah.
sense of how terrible it is.
Did you have this?
Oh, we got that one.
Oh, don't worry, that's coming up. Oh my gosh, you'll talk about a banger of a movie, depending on who you're asking me, because I will watch anything. Did anybody watch the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movies? Yeah. Oh yeah. God, the first one might have been the worst movie I've ever watched. The second one, now hold on, the second one was not that bad. I'm gonna go that they should have gone with whatever plot the second one was actually supposed to be the premise for the first one. They just finally got funding. Is kind of how I feel, but those movies. Speaking of bad horror movies.
I refuse to watch those.
Look, they were watching the first one in the second
there
movie.
was like the fourth wall break where they're watching
Oh
the
my
whole
gosh.
first movie.
So it's like
inside. It
Gremlins.
was, oh my gosh. I'll recommend the second one. You don't need to see the first one. But aside from this is actually her very first movie role. She had been cast in Happy Days before, but this was her very first film, which again launched her career. Pretty exciting.
I mean, Seinfeld definitely did more.
Well, I mean, yeah. I wouldn't say that Troll was what got everybody to cast her in movies, but next week, the dad and son in this are Harry Potter and Harry Potter Jr.
I thought that was very good.
You're going to Universal later. Is anybody going to Universal later, speaking of Harry Potter? No, nobody's going? Oh, I'm going to be face deep in butterbeer later. It's going to be so exciting. Cannot wait. Aside from that, Julie Louis-Dreyfus played Jeanette, the nymph, and she's just wearing leaves as the trolls are changing the apartment building into fairylands.
It's so weird.
Did you actually watch? You sat through this movie?
No, I just watched the trailer. I thought I was going to
And you got all of that from the trailer?
Yes. Yes, that's why I just need to watch
Did you
it.
watch this movie?
Oh, I've watched it many times.
Oh man, so she's actually just chilling in leaves as they're just doing whatever.
Her apartment like leads into a forest.
Well, it's like the movie House, where it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
It's a TARDIS.
And the different rooms turn into portals to different fairylands.
And it's based off of what that person needs. So there is actually a plot in it. Like there's an old lady where they kind of put her to sleep, and there's like a kid who's kind of neglected. So I mean, it's been 20 plus years since I've seen it.
You guys are gonna make me go and
And
watch
she-
this.
she has
I
to-
have a feeling that I'm somehow getting sold on this despite
The
it.
old lady that
It's not
owns
that-
the house is guarding it so that the portals stay closed.
Yeah, that's what it, yeah, and they were like kind to her. So
Listen, tonight when we get home, we're watching Troll.
So when, like he was saying before, every October we do like horror movies the whole month. So when I was doing research for this panel, I was like, well, I have the list of all the movies we're doing for next year that we haven't seen
Troll.
yet. We will be doing an episode on Troll, and we will watch it from beginning to end.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
We've probably watched worse movies for this podcast. We recently did Bloody Valentine with Jensen.
Oh my god, yeah, speaking of
it's
2009.
3D.
Oh, they really make sure you know it's 3D in that movie.
I mean,
Everything
as soon as
is
you see it,
3D.
you're like, oh, this is definitely 3D.
What you got?
You have to watch it with an idea of fairy law because a doorway can become a portal to another realm, and that's what's going on.
You know, I would probably take a doorway to a portal to another realm right now myself, but.
Sorry.
Did you have some too?
There was a rumor many years ago that there was about a crossover between Scream and not Scream, but for some reason it never
Took off.
I mean, we got Freddy vs. Jason, which I called that movie Unapologetically. We actually watched that for the podcast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. If you can't tell, Lauren doesn't have fun. I had all the fun, like, we're going to watch this. And she's like, we're doing what? All right. I'm like, don't worry, don't go into it. We're just going to watch this.
Okay, so here's the
be how
thing.
it is.
I used to not like horror movies. I would give me nightmares. And then I watched Supernatural, and now I know how to kill everything. So now I enjoy watching horror movies. He got me into horror movies, I got him into Supernatural. And his wife helped get him into
It
Supernatural.
took me 2 years to finish
So
it.
it was
I
a
actually just
collaborative
finished it
effort.
a month ago,
Yeah.
finally, for the
Yes,
first
he
time.
took him 2
It
years to
was.
finish it. Yeah.
Anyways, back to the wonderful movie that is a Oscar-worthy troll. No, we're talking about trolls still.
Oh, Troll, my
When she was
bad.
filming the movie,
Very
she was
flustered out.
dating her boyfriend in the movie. They then got married, and they're still married today. So I guess there was some good coming from this. The romance
met
might have been
before.
real. I don't know.
But they were in it together. Because they
Oh,
both
look
worked
at
on
that.
Saturday Night Live together.
That's right. Saturday Night Live is so good, so good.
But they actually, both Julia Louis-Dreyfus and her husband voiced characters in Disney's A Bug's Life. And they were both on Curb Your Enthusiasm playing themselves, which is a great show. If you like Seinfeld, just watch her.
She was also in Veep recently.
Yeah.
She did Veep. I haven't watched that, but
I haven't
it's
seen it, but her husband directed a few episodes of that too.
impressive. So going into the next one that we have.
Another
Oh, man.
Seinfeld actor.
Yes, it is The Burning in 1981.
With
Jason Alexander. Yeah.
George Costanza.
This basically the premise of this one is an abusive former summer camp caretaker, Cropsy, horribly burned from a prank gone wrong 5 years earlier, lurks around upstate New York's summer camp Stonewater with garden shears and bent on killing the teenagers responsible.
That is
You
not
have
my
really big
definition.
scissors. So like, did you dress for the part? Did you know about this already? You got these giant scissors. So you knew what panel you were going to. You were going to talk about this, obviously. I've never seen this one either. I didn't know this existed. Like, I'm a little.
This will be our
impressed.
second week in October.
Congrats. We're gonna watch The Burning in 1981.
See,
Okay.
there's great. There's
His name is Cropsy, and it has nothing to do with the farm.
I haven't seen it. I just
Has anybody
did
seen this
research
one?
in the fun facts.
Yeah. See, you've seen this one?
Oh yeah, like nobody's seen it. I feel
Is
like
it?
that's trouble.
Wow. All right.
Is it worth watching?
Is it worth watching? It is. All right. We got two right there. I'm so pumped. You guys are the best. What's that?
It's really good.
Really good. All right. We're taking your word for
You
it.
get the sticker, Haley.
Now, there is a very, very well-known actor that I didn't know before researching was in a horror movie. Kind of known as, I guess you can call him America's dad in a way. Like, this is one person we found out did bad, but anything bad, you're just going to be devastated because he's been in like every movie ever
That's
made. Joe the Volcano, for example, amazing movie,
Big.
but big.
You Got
Saving
Mail.
Private Ryan, You Got Mail.
Toy Story.
Tom Hanks was in a movie called He Knows You're Alone, which came out in 1980. This was long before his little run with Meg Ryan and all of those. It was Joe versus Volcano, actually. Sorry. That movie is just another crazy movie. But the IMDb is a reluctant bride to be stalked by a serial killer who only kills brides and the people around them. While her friends get whacked one by one, a hard-boiled renegade cop whose bride was killed years ago tries to hunt him down before it's too late for this bride. Take a drink every time you say bride. Meanwhile, she must figure out if it's all in her imagination or not.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes!
So, fun fact, Tom Hanks' character was supposed to die earlier in the movie, but he was just too damn charismatic that they decided not to do
I
that.
mean, how could you not? Tom
Can't
Hanks.
kill Woody.
He's America's dad. Again, I feel like that's what they call him, right? Mary, at this point, he's
I've
been in
never
every
called him
movie.
that, but I guess you could.
I don't know. I didn't have a dad. So. I just, it's
So
like
you like
Barney
horror
Stinson
movies?
who was going after, what's his name on The Price is Right?
Mm.
Bob Barker?
Yeah, Bob Barker. One of those. I
Price
was
is
going to say Drew
Wrong.
Carey, which is a wolf.
Alright, so now we're on to Leprechaun with Jennifer Aniston,
Yes.
which is really funny because so this came out in 1993, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the show Friends, but that came out in 1994. And she wanted to pretend this movie did not happen, but then Rachel Green became a household name, and everybody went to Blockbuster, which are these stores we used to have where you could borrow movies.
That was the best. Chinese food and Blockbusters, and you knew your Friday night as like 8-year-old me was going to be the best.
Yeah. So Warwick Davis is in this. He plays the
Yes.
Leprechaun, and he was originally wasn't too happy with the movie, but once Jennifer became Rachel Green, people started changing it or started renting it, and so he was making money off of it, and now he likes it. She almost didn't get the role though because she wasn't blonde. So and then they're like, somebody was like, no, we'll have her dye her hair blonde. It'll work out, and she didn't dye her
And
hair
then
blonde, but it still worked out.
I always thought she was blonde. She wasn't blonde for that? But she was brown hair. It's been a while since I've seen that one. That movie's
Brunette.
ridiculous. Because then they made so many spin-offs of that movie. Like, was
Yeah,
that Leprechaun in the Hood and just, oh my god. Yeah, Leprechaun in Space is another one. I don't know what our fascination with going to
Okay,
space
once
but-
somebody goes to space, it's like that's when it's like Sharknado went to space. Fast and
Jason
Furious went to
X,
space.
Jason goes to space. Like,
So that's when you're a whole other level of like.
That
The
really
Western
is.
one that went to space on the space station. They had that space station.
the only movies I'm going to allow that we go to space is Fast and Furious. If anybody
Sharknado.
needs to go to space or face off against Transformers, it's Fast and Furious.
Wasn't it in Sharknado? She could throw
Event Horizon, yeah,
space.
that's a good one. But that movie made sense with it being in space, that whole thing.
But like Tara Reid gave birth in a shark. Was she
Sharknado.
in space when that happened?
No, but the shark did go up like space or something. It came back down, and then they cut her out of the shark. I think it was.
Did they go? Maybe they went to space in the fourth one. I can't remember.
Regardless,
The third one was at Universal.
the, maybe that's why she got such bad plastic surgery. All the G forces from going to space in a shark.
You know what? She came out of that shark looking like she was never even pregnant.
That's true.
It's impressive. All right, so Paul Rudd. Who doesn't love Paul Rudd? Yeah, man.
We weren't supposed to have Alicia Silverstone speaking of Clueless this weekend, which kind of sucks. I was pumped to meet Alicia Silverstone. I wanted to talk Batman and Robin personally, like one of the goated best Batman movies of all time. Obviously, there's never ever been a better Batman movie. Definitely not.
Remember when he said he likes bad movies?
Never ever. I mean, you're not sending them to the cool.
Batman vs Superman's one of his favorites. If you yell Martha, he gets
Hey,
triggered.
time out. First of all, it's not one of my favorites. Anyways, Paul Rudd, yes, his first film was Clueless, where he has not aged a day since. So he might be into some like horrifying stuff. Who knows? Maybe like he's like Michael Myers or
Drinks the
something.
blood of the
Just-
innocent.
Apparently so. He did film Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers in 1995.
So he filmed it before Clueless, yeah.
So
we're counting it.
We're counting it.
Paul
Counts in
Rudd.
my book, I feel like. It's Paul Rudd. How could you not include Paul Rudd, Jennifer Aniston, some of these big names out there, right? I mean,
But
how
it's
could you
funny
not?
who he played in Halloween though, because he was the third person to play this character.
Oh, that's...
So he played Tommy Doyle, and that's the kid that Lori babysits in the original one. And later, somebody else plays Tommy Doyle. That was Tom. So there was the kid, and then there was
Doyle
another
Lewis.
one, and then there was Paul Rudd, and then there was Anthony Michael Hall. Is he here?
Yeah, he's supposed to be here for the Breakfast Club. He is here.
Alright.
Yes.
So they wanted the original actor to come back, but he didn't have an agent, so they couldn't get a hold of him. And by the time they were doing the
We
new
did not
one,
have social media.
with
Thank God.
Anthony Michael Hall, Brian Andrews was retired, the original one, and Paul Rudd was busy. So that is the whole
Obviously,
ending.
yeah.
Like,
You know, we did leave somebody else off. This, I already told this joke to you guys. Taylor Lautner. We left Taylor Lautner. He was in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Have you seen George Lopez in that movie? My kids made me watch that movie for 3 months straight, and the song is stuck in your head, and then terrifying, creepy George Lopez up against the magnifying glass, playing like some
yeah.
robot or something. Awful,
my son
terrifying,
had it on the other day. It's
unbelievable.
terrifying.
And then there's
And then he bites the shark cage to get her.
yeah, exactly. He sings like some weird dream
So
song.
are we counting that as a horror
That's
movie?
definitely a horror movie.
Oh, so good.
I could sleep like a baby if you're throwing Warwick Davis in leprechaun outfits, but if you're throwing George Lopez just too much of
Like
his face at me,
Modoc.
I'm out. He was like Modoc, yeah. I'm out. I got mine said, we just don't cross.
And mine is blood or Pooh Bear, blood and money. I don't cross that line. You don't mess
I
with
do.
Pooh Bear.
I love
Steamboat
it.
Willie, have a funny one. I'm
All
fine
the
with
kids
that.
do.
I'll watch that.
Oh, speaking, is anybody coming here tonight for that Steamboat McGee movie? Like, what was it? Killer or Steam? There's some horror fest going on today, and Steamboat Willie has an indie horror movie tonight at 4 Screamboat. Screamboat, that's what it was. Ah, I knew it. I've been walking around all day talking about Screamboat, and thank you. Yeah, I would be here for that. If we were going to Universal, I'm dragging everybody to that. I'd be here at the horror fest all day.
That's some
Dude, that Two-Face costume is amazing. You did an amazing job on that one.
Were you raising your hand before? Did you have a?
Yes, what do you have?
So I was going to ask, I'm hearing something that are rock bands also kind of a horror movie.
Ooh, yeah, what do you have?
Dark Floors, the whole monsters and demons in that horror movie are from the band Morty.
Oh, that's
I did
cool.
not know that. Okay.
What was that? I want to write that down.
It's based around a mental hospital and a girl's drawing with a red crayon saying she needs more red, and once she loses red, the hospital pretty much warps into like this dark room and are being hunted down by these demons and whatnot.
Ooh.
I need mine.
I love a
That
good
sounds kinda
demon
cool.
story because I know how to
That
tell
sounds
them
cool.
now. Speak a little
Do
Latin,
you? I
a
don't-
little bit of salt.
Get some salt out there, throw it around, yeah.
Hey, they sell demon killing knives out here on the floor.
Do they actually?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
They
I
also
just saw
sell
it
angel
somewhere.
blades.
Oh, that's something. Yeah, now we're talking. Can I check this in the plane?
I told myself I was gonna buy a katana when I walked up in here. They're like, you don't need it, but they want to buy Funko Pops.
Listen, as a third neutral party, I can either confirm or deny that man should get a katana today. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
It's gonna. I mean, I
Listen,
think that's the
money
best
isn't
weapon
real, just
for a
like
zombie
all of these
apocalypse.
demons aren't real. does.
I mean, like, and she can.
Actually, that's true, because you're not gonna worry about running out of ammo when there's a zombie apocalypse.
And they're long enough that it's far away enough, like, you don't wanna have to, like, actually do the whole stab in the brain, that's too close.
You know, speaking of zombies, Ving Rhames was in the original Dawn of the Dead, and then he was in the remake, and then Tyrese, speaking of Fast and Furious, because everything loops back to Fast and Furious, he was in the Dawn of the Dead movie. His wife gave birth to a pregnant zombie demon baby. She got bit,
She gave birth
and
to a
then,
pregnant zombie demon
well, she
baby.
was pregnant, she gave birth to a zombie baby in that one. And the
Well, that
remake,
sucks.
no, Zack Snyder actually redid that one.
Oh, he did,
Yeah.
Batman Superman too,
Isn't
right?
that Day of the Dead though when they're in the wall? Is it
I thought, no, that was the Dawn of the Dead remake, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dawn of the Dead. Okay. I'm telling you, I think it was.
Alright,
Hey,
so.
Patrick Dempsey,
Patrick
Nick
Dempsey.
Dreamy.
He's also in Dexter Original Sin. Anybody watching that right now? If you're a Dexter fan, they're actually, I think, doing a great job with the show. The characters they've cast as the younger versions seem to really know those characters well, and this one can't have a bad finale because it ends when the show begins, right? That's what I'm telling myself.
Well, aren't they continuing it too? They just recast
Yes,
stuff.
Dexter Resurrection is coming out.
Dexter.
Because Dexter New Blood, apparently he did not die.
You know, they're following the horror movie of just they never stop.
I love
Because, right? We have Halloween, 13, 12, all that kind of stuff. Now we have Dexter, but yeah, so.
So what did Patrick Dempsey get us started?
The Stuff. Speaking of just random stuff, they named it The Stuff because how can you forget? Hey, what are you here in Blockbuster for? I don't know, some stuff. I got a movie for you. This came out in 1985, and per IMDb, a delicious mystery goo that oozes from the earth is marketed as the newest dessert sensation, but the tasty treat rots more than teeth when zombie-like snackers who only want to consume more of the strange substance at any cost begin infesting the world.
And it was low calorie. So Dempsey is just an underground stuff buyer. He's literally underground stuff buyer number 2. Not a big role. He's not even credited. But it's, anybody seen the Thanksgiving movies? For Thanksgiving movie 1, they're making 2. So we did a whole episode on that for Thanksgiving. That has some comical deaths in it. If you like horror,
Yes. They were very on those.
highly recommend that.
They're making a second one of that one too.
Yeah.
If you haven't, oh man.
And
That is
Patrick Dempsey's
really
in
good.
it. Two-Face?
Sorry, when you say Thanksgiving, you're talking, just to make sure, you're talking about Thanksgiving.
Oh, no.
It's called Thanksgiving.
You're a man of culture, I see. Thanksgiving? How can we? Unfortunately, I don't think there's any big actors that got their start in that one. But Thanksgiving should always be mentioned when we're talking really bad horror movies. If you have like the
I started it and turned it off.
It was that's oh my god, it should never have seen the light of day, but I'm still unapologetic about it.
But Thanksgiving, it came out after 2023.
Thanksgiving. Oh, the movie Thanksgiving came out
Thanksgiving
2023. It came out that time. It was actually really good.
Yeah, it was pretty
It was
good.
really well done, I gotta say. It was very on the nose as far as the kills go.
There's a
things
couple
like that.
recognizable faces. Ty
Michael Manheim
Olsen
from Zombies.
and Ty Olsen from Supernatural's in it.
He was. I don't think there's anybody else, but.
The Stuff is one of Peter Jackson's first movies.
There you go.
That's
Another one.
right. Lord of the Rings, yes.
Oh, yeah, he's a good
I'm like on my own eye with Lord of the Rings. Does anybody else please help me? Lord of the Rings? Yes, thank you.
I like Clerks too.
Why don't you take us into our
Trees
next
walked in
one,
that movie, okay.
where this actress, you may have thought she got her start in a movie called Scream. However,
She didn't.
she actually did not. Neve Campbell. Where did she star in before this?
The Dark, 1993. So something is alive beneath the surface of a graveyard. Something with the power to destroy and the power to heal. So there's a cop who is determined to kill this thing, and a scientist who is determined to capture it and save this miraculous thing. While they're stalking the creature, neither man is aware of the battle that is about to start. A battle for science, survival, and revenge.
Interesting.
Yeah, there weren't any good fun facts worth sharing in this, but I felt like Neve Campbell needed a shout out because she.
I feel like that kind of explains why she's such a badass come Scream when she's just like, you know what, I'm taking on, Billy and every Stu fighting them both at the same time. She didn't back down. She had that experience.
I mean, Scream is littered with fun facts. Billy Loomis, that's a fun fact right there. The doctor from Home.
True. The fact that also they did a really good marketing job with Scream because they put Drew Barrymore on the cover, they marketed her really hard because she got started E.T. and everything like that, so she was already pretty well known. And
Well, because it's not just a horror movie, it's a comedy. Like, it's not.
It's satirical, yeah.
It was making fun of itself, which I felt like was kind of new at that time.
And it was at the time when the horror genre was, and especially slasher genre, was kind of dead too.
Right, and they brought it back.
Which, speaking of, this is kind of not off topic, but
That's what
we
podcast
have
is for.
Quentin Tarantino's From Dusk Till Dawn. Obviously, how are we not going to mention George Clooney?
That was his first movie.
I know, it wasn't his first movie,
Oh.
but that was at like the ER, right before the ER hype. He was early 90s, so he wasn't getting, I mean, the great prestigious Batman roles yet, but he was still in From Dusk Till Dawn, and what's her name's also in that. Salma Hayek is also in that, and that was like one of her first roles as well, as she's the zombie dancer, or vampire dancer, excuse me, and Quentin Tarantino has weird thing with feet. Gross. Anyways, moving on.
Any Severance fans? Oh, okay. I'm like, if you have Apple, Severance is fantastic. So Adam Scott and Patricia Arquette in that, and both of them actually got their starts. Patricia Arquette was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and Adam Scott's first movie was as Jacques in Hellraiser Bloodline 1996. And when Adam showed up to set, his chair said Adam Craig, but he was just happy to be there. And he actually auditioned for one of the future movies, hoping nobody would recognize him so he could be in it again, but he did not.
Obviously, his name is Derek. He spent $6,000 a week on voice lessons. This next one. Are there any Sam Raimi fans?
Oh, yeah, this one I'm
Evil
like-
Dead fans? Yeah. All right. So first of all, what did you guys think of Evil Dead Rises? Did you guys like that one? It was okay. You didn't like it?
I liked the original ones because they were camp, and
Yeah.
I think they moved away from that. But I did like the series.
Oh,
Yeah,
did,
I agree with it. I didn't like the new ones, the movies at all, but the series, just like
Ash versus Evil Dead, right?
Was amazing.
Yeah.
the fact that they canceled it and everything, like it got moved off Stars and then it went to Netflix, and Netflix just kills all of our hopes and dreams immediately. Like it. Oh my god, it was really good. It was Ashley. You're talking about Ashley versus Evil Dead, right? Yeah, that show was amazing.
It was.
Oh my gosh, it
And
was
he
so
directed
the future.
the Doctor
Because that
Strange.
was super good.
Yeah, he did. That's right. Yes. Well, obviously, Bruce Campbell, who we're talking about here, who got started after starring in several horror short films. Writer and director Sam Raimi. His first major role was Evil Dead in 1981. 81, 82. That time frame was really big for horror and new ideas
Jaws,
too.
I feel like kicked it off in the 70s.
Yeah, 78 was good, like Halloween, and then from there, I mean, Sam Raimi, and then you got Carpenter, Goodman's thing was
Yeah,
Craven
80s
Goodman's
was
thing,
like peak horror.
80s to be a lot, like to see those in theaters and everything, because you don't really get good horror
I
movies.
didn't see many horror movies in the 80s in the theaters.
I was not alive. So
I was watching
unfortunately-
Big Bird.
But so actually, fun fact is Bruce and Sam actually went to high school together. They worked on a lot of small films with Sam's brother Ted. Bruce ended
Who was
up
in
becoming
Supernatural?
he ended up becoming the main actor because they claimed he was the one the girls wanted to look at, which is interesting because the only look of Bruce Campbell I have is from. Has anybody seen the movie Emotet? Or no, Bubba Hotel. I'm sorry, it's Bubba Hotel. Yeah.
Amazing movie.
I've been telling her about this. It's awful. He thinks he's Elvis. So basically, a mummy comes back to life one night. Bruce Campbell thinks he's Elvis and he's in the nursing home, so Elvis didn't die. And now Bruce Campbell, as Elvis, has to take on this mummy type zombie thing, and it is absurd. If you're looking for bad, absurd horror movies, Bubba Hotel.
After that description, I feel like saying absurd is just redundant.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's fun. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Bruce Campbell's character actually is.
He is. Yes. So it turns out he is Elvis, but JFK is.
JFK is clearly not JFK.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous because it's a stupid mummy and just dumb all
She had a
around.
comment back here.
I was gonna say, if you're wanting like bad horror movies, like 1-star horror movies, Shark of the Corn.
Shark of the Corn?
Absolutely hilarious. It's literally a shark attack in a cornfield, and they
Oh, say no more.
and they have holes, and a murderer who's killing people with shark teeth,
That's amazing.
and it's absolutely hilarious. And it's supposed to be a horror
A
movie.
shark in a
Well, I mean, that's going to be a hard weapon to find. But it looks like these are shark teeth.
How the hell is there a shark in a cornfield? I've got so
There's
many
only one way to
questions.
find out. Watch the movie.
Any shark, it's very white sharks.
As it should be, obviously. There's only one type of shark that kills anybody ever.
That's not true.
I know. It's bull sharks are
Bull
actually
sharks
the ones
are
that kill everybody the most. But
They're not mindless eating machines.
so how did Evil Dead actually get funded? Because this is a pretty cool fun fact. If you don't know this one.
I don't know. How did it get funded?
All right. Bruce Campbell put up his family's property in northern Michigan as collateral so that Sam Raimi not only could finish the film, but blow it up to 35mm film, which was required for a theatrical release. Raimi was so grateful for Campbell's financial contribution that he credited him as a co-producer, and definitely I would say at the end of this, worked out pretty well for both of them because it went on to launch a lot of really good careers.
Yeah, they even did Scarlet Witch and put him in there as Papa Pete.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
So in the original script, I think this one's really funny. There was a scene where they're supposed to smoke weed in the movie, so they decide they're going to go full method and smoke weed before they film it. Well, that thing had to be reshot. They did not do a great job. That's to no shock to anyone. There's about 1 million more fun facts with that one, and we will definitely need to devote a whole podcast to that franchise.
This one, now we're moving away from the 80s in this one, we're going to 2005. So what did 2005 bring us? Because also it kind of early onset brought another really famous actor who was in Van Wilder and kind of was getting his start. Isn't quite the...
He was like the
He was-
peak of his stuff.
I would say he was like really well known, but he
the
isn't...
peak of his act.
He was still doing it, yeah. Ryan Reynolds was in this one.
Yeah, Amityville Horror.
So Chloe Grace Moretz. Is that, I can never pronounce
Yes,
her
she was
last name
only
correctly.
8 years old, and this is when she made her film debut.
It's just crazy.
So this is one where Ryan Reynolds is seeing the ghosts in the house is making him turn into like an evil stepdad. Obviously, this is not obviously, but it's based somewhat on a true story.
The Amityville Horror House.
So we've heard many different iterations of this one. So she was not even allowed to see the movie when it came out, though. But once it was on DVD, they did let her watch her own scenes.
DVDs. God.
DVDs.
They did.
There's a lot of DVDs and VHSs
There
here.
is.
We're
There
really
is.
looking to restock that collection
We do have a
that
couple
you donated
left.
years ago.
Before we wrap up, we have a couple left. So Eva Mendes, before she got, obviously famous, everybody knows her from Too Fast, Too Furious, clearly. Her first movie role was in 1998, where she appeared in Children of the Corn 5, Fields of Terror.
Not Shark of the Corn,
Here.
though.
It was not Shark of the Corn, unfortunately, no, but Children of the Corn, which cults always kind of freak me out, especially cults in the middle of nowhere.
Well, especially tiny ones.
In little,
Children.
yeah, it's like a child cult, and children are terrifying enough, especially in the dark.
Somebody one time said my son looked like a child of the corn because he was
I mean,
super blonde when he was little. Doesn't
My
he look
daughter
like
will just,
children of the corn? Your
in the
brother?
middle of the
Yeah.
night, be like, I threw up. I'm like, Mom, I'm awake. Congrats,
He has
oh
scared
my
the crap
God.
out of me standing above me in the middle of the night before.
It's a little like stereotype right up against your face. But yeah, so 3 years later, she landed her notable role in Training Day. God, all right, fine. You couldn't just go with Fast and Furious for being her launch.
It's not all about family.
6
Sorry.
college students. Now, this movie is about 6 college students on a road trip, take a wrong turn, and end up trapped in a strangely deserted rural town inhabited by
Thank God you
children.
had GPS.
They didn't have GPS really back then, which my Google Maps would be like, hold on. let me
But actually,
just-
what year was that? They might have had map.
Well,
Oh, they
yeah.
probably were able to print MapQuest, but I mean, if you don't hit that
Probably took
turn
like 3 hours.
right on time, yeah, then you're lost.
You have to pay for it. And
One
everything.
wrong turn.
But first of all, I'm not taking any wrong turns. We're important. It's like Jeepers Creepers.
Oh God, I
The
don't
way
know. That
there's-
is that movie.
well,
I'd rather watch Wrong Turn than Jeepers Creepers.
He kind of got started up in Jeepers Creepers almost, Justin Long.
Oh, yeah,
He
Justin
was
Long.
in Jeepers Creepers, which that movie was legitimately terrifying.
I know.
13-year-old me, because I'm not about that. Number one. Number two, what's that? I thought he was good. You see somebody dumping a body with this truck that was trying to run you off the road.
I think
I'm
it's
not,
filmed in
personally, I'm not
Florida.
going into a church, especially a church that looks like that. It was actually, and I think like Gainesville area maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that movie, and then they get progressively worse from there. It can't be ridiculous. And
I've been told I should watch the second one because they end up killing the monster, so then I won't be.
the second one, actually, I would recommend the second one. Anything after that, it was
I watched it
so
before I
shit to TV.
enjoyed horror, so I did have nightmares.
That movie legitimately creepy. But Justin Long is in that one, and he was actually really good at that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't get it. So we do have one final one. Who is, speaking of Children of the Corn?
Charlize Theron in 1995. Her first role was in Children of the Corn 3: Urban Harvest. It was a non-speaking part though, with only 3 seconds of screen time. But
Wow.
that's where she got her start, and she's
Wow.
done well for herself as well.
I mean, I would say so. She's actually really badass in action movies. Like, she's one of my favorite women action stars right now.
I would like to see her
Mad
come
Max
back in the
and
MCU. We got that end credit scene, and it never,
allegedly, we'll see her again. We just,
time to start playing off those end credit scenes in the Marvel
you
universe.
see, they introduced too many people. They can't pay them all at once, so they gotta like spread it over 15 years.
I know, but they need to.
The Young Avengers is not so Young Avengers.
No, I think they're gonna be the champions now.
Yes, yes. We didn't put that on there, but he did.
Renee Zellweger.
I didn't realize she was in the Texas
There's
Chainsaw Massacre.
so like I literally like I had a list and I'm like we're not gonna have enough time. I had to
They
start.
found him at like a gas station or something like that.
He was just sitting there, all right.
I was gonna say at least he wasn't hanging outside of high school.
And he was supposed to be a small character, and then like something happened, and he ended up
So like he looks too good on camera.
And then Jessica Biel was like coming off of Seventh Heaven and went into the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is pretty cool. But that kind of wraps up our time here. She's telling us over here. So Lauren, why don't you remind everybody if they want stickers, where things, who we are, where they can find us, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yes, we are Hops Geek News. We do a weekly podcast. We usually start with what we've been watching or reading, and then we go into some recent geeky news, and then we deep dive into a main topic. A lot of times it's horror, a lot of times it's supernatural, a lot of times it's Marvel, DC, all sorts of that. And we usually do it over a local craft beer. I'm actually local here in Orlando. He's up in Virginia right now, so if you're local and you like good beer, or if you're not local and you like good beer and you need recommendations,
Speaking of horror, I flew Spirit this morning and survived somehow.
that's because they have one time, and they did that one
Middle
time. They snuck it
seat,
out.
nonetheless, as a 6'4" human being. No idea.
But-
I have no idea.
Cider Brewing is a great one. Drink them a lot on the podcast. We just had Orlando Beer Week, and they did a huge collab and had Steamboat Mickey on the cans. It's adorable. We have stickers for our podcast. If you want to find us, I have Steamboat Mickey stickers, and we have Fantastic Four stickers down here, as well as business cards, or if you just want horror stickers.
We also have a Supernatural panel for our Supernatural show fans. 3:30.
3:30 on
I think it's
Sunday.
right in this room, same room.
Yeah, it's in
the
this
same
room.
room on Sunday at 3:30. So you can go to the cast panel, and then you come right over here and hang out with us again.
That's our
And
plan.
that's our plan. Can I ask that like we just get like a selfie with all you guys? I like to do it with all of our panels that we do, and then on social media you can find yourself there. So I'm gonna do that real quick. That's cool. Everybody get up here. Let's do this.